Hi, folks. Nice to see you again. I'm Connor Bronston, Dev Interrupted Community Leader, and I'm really excited to introduce our next session. In the hierarchy of dev metrics, planning accuracy should be at or near the top of the list. If it fails, everything else does too. To help understand how a 150-person dev team accurately plans out its release pipeline, LinearB co-founder and CEO Keren sat down with Iris Gilboa at BigID, a data intelligence unicorn who can't afford to miss a shipping date ever. BigID enables organizations to know their data and take action for privacy, security, and governance. When Iris joined BigID as their first female engineer, she was just their 15th dev. They've grown to 150 now, and she's now transitioned into the role of Senior Technical Program Manager and Release Manager. They've been using LinearB for 2 years now to help increase their planning accuracy, deliver projects on time, and through it all, she's learned to trust the data. Let's join Ori and Iris now.
When we talk about predictability, and maybe for the audience and the people that don't know exactly what we're talking about, when we're saying planning accuracy, we're saying, here's what I committed to, whether I'm counting issues, issue count, or it's story points or whatever, and it's more suitable for Scrum, I agree. Mm-hmm. And here's what I executed out of what we committed. So if something is added in the middle, and let's say like I don't know, I committed to 80 story points, right? And I did 70, but I did extra 10 that were added in the middle. Like planning accuracy, would it be 100 or would it be like 7, like only on the original content that you plan?
It won't be 100 because I didn't finish everything that I committed to, and I had something added in the middle. So even if it sums up to be the same content, it's not, I didn't plan for it at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I cannot get to 100%.
This is awesome. Okay, I'm hearing, by the way, we're talking to a lot of course, like prospect customers. I mean, like 2 schools of thought. Most of the people are like saying exactly like you, because again, we started this discussion and said predictability is like the most important thing. Like you want to commit to things and do them. It could be the right choice, like to do the extra stories, but still you want to improve on your planning. You remember what was the typical like planning accuracy at that point for your teams, like more or less?
Less than 50 to most of them.
Less than 50%.
Yes.
But
the thing is that I couldn't show it to them in Jira. I had my own KPIs to show it, but again, there are all those questions. How did you do that? How did you calculate that? So having it in a different product that calculates everything was amazing.
Yeah, and this is where we, I think, got into the picture.
Yeah.
Maybe one last question before we look into the solution. You can walk us through what do you do with the LinearB's project delivery tracker. It might sound obvious, but I heard something like some of our prospects saying, "Hey, like planning accuracy and predictability, just like it's a manager thing." But we know there's like all kinds of bad things are happening when we're saying, "Hey, we're going to do X," and we only executed on 20 or 30% of that. Can you walk me through like, okay, what was the morale like with the developers, the team, and the leadership, right? Business need to align with the engineering and
sure.
What kind of like things you saw there?
So in Agile, in Scrum, the team owns the process. So if I commit to 100 story points and do only 50, it demotivates the team because I said I will do 100. I managed to do 50. There's probably something wrong with me, with the team. Maybe I don't have enough knowledge. Maybe I don't have the right tools to succeed. So this is one aspect of the planning accuracy, of having to commit to too much stories in a sprint. Also, if I overplan, I will never be able to meet customer commitments, business commitments outside, because I will never know if something will be in that sprint or 50% that it will be carry over to the next one.
Yeah.
And then again, maybe to the even the next one. So that impacts business as well. In BigID, we have an engineering escalations team that are, it's an additional layer between engineering and support. And also the feedback that I get from them on the planning accuracy is exactly that, because they're seeing that something is committed to, let's say, sprint 144, and then it is released and it's not in. So they come and ask me, but you committed to that release. What happened? And then I need to explain to them, again and again, why wasn't it done?
So you're saying like there was frustration from developers, like, hey, we didn't hit what we committed, but also, what was the leadership reaction to that? Like, leadership was also.
Yes, because if a customer is waiting for something and they don't get it, so the VP R&D hears about it, and then he comes and asks, what happened?
Yeah.
And it's also an interruption to the sprint, because you need to stop and see what happened and explain.
Obviously, we're talking here because things got a lot better, right, from where you were at the beginning with you said like under 50% of like planning accuracy. So I think we have here some like segments from the project delivery tracker that we have in LinearB. We don't have to, to go through everything, but can you walk us through like what do you do with the tool? What are your practices and what do you get from it?
Okay, so I have bi-weekly sessions with all of the scrums to review their KPIs. I know they need to do it by themselves, but I'm in BigID to help the teams. So instead of them finding the 15 minutes every sprint to look at the KPIs, we have a specific time for each of the teams that we go over it together. The team, the Scrum Master, of course, and the project owner, product manager, depends on the organization. And we go over the work breakdown of the team, see how much new work they did in the sprint, how much refactor or
this is here, right? These are like the
yes, this
operational
one.
metrics. Yeah.
Yes, how much refactor or rework the team did. Rework, for some of you that maybe don't know the terminology, is a refactor on code newer than 21 days. Why is it important? Because if I entered some code into the system and I already need to refactor it the next sprint, maybe I need to look at something to see what didn't go as expected in the previous sprint. And so this is one of the things that we look at. The second thing is the cycle time. So cycle time, as I said, we have sprints of 2 weeks. We aim to have stories of max of 8 points, but again, a story of 8 points may be a bit bigger for a sprint of 2 weeks, because if something blocks the engineering or the testing or even the deployment, then it will be carried over to the next sprint. it is too big to calculate everything that can go wrong during those 2 sprints. And also 8 points can be seen in a cycle time of, like, let's say 11 days. So I can look at the cycle time of 11 days and say, okay, let's go to the planning, see how many big stories we had, and maybe we need to think about dividing them into smaller stories next time.
Yeah, I love this, because you're saying, hey, we found a correlation or a connection between all, like, well, I call it sometimes like the old world of like story points and planning to the DORA metrics, the operational metrics, and you kind of like learn how to develop intuition. Hey, if I'm saying like long cycle times, I already know, like, we broke it into like big pieces. It's going to be hard, like, to move them through the development pipeline. Another thing that really caught my eye here, like when we started looking, so first of all, there's like sometimes this is a screenshot from your data, right, from your project delivery tracker. Sometimes I see stuff that is like based on issue count, and sometimes on story points. You kind of like toggle between those, or you more like a story point, like kind of like a organization?
I look mostly at story points, but I can tell you that the product and the team lead wants to look also on the issue count. Yeah. It can be different because, of course, the points is more accurate, but yeah, it's nice to have both of them to look at.
Super cool. And maybe one last thing that, again, really, when we prepped, you had this slide that really like got me thinking. I found so many insights here, but maybe you can walk us through. Well, of course, we see like the improvement here, but walk us through this team and, you know, what specifically helped this team improve and jump from, you know, 25 in the area of 25% predictability to the area of close to 70.
Okay, so first of all, in the bi-weekly sessions that I have with all the teams, I insist that the whole Scrum team will be present. So it won't be only on the team lead or the product manager. And I also, from my experience, the team has power. So if the team isn't okay with how the planning goes and how the KPIs look, so they have the power to change it. And this is one of the examples. Also, the team lead. I can say that in all our scrums, the team leads saw the data and they said, okay, we need to be more active in the planning, in the signing off of the sprint content, and not just give the product owner the last say about it. And you can see it. First of all, they commit. It's not perfect yet, but you can see that from 68 carryovers, they're down to 22 carryovers.
This is here, yeah.
Yeah, so this is amazing. Before that, the sprint was just a backlog that moved from sprint to sprint. That's why we have 24% of accuracy. There wasn't any planning to that sprint. Now it's not perfect, but 67 is pretty good.
It is good. It's like going from like where you are, like to, I would say, good to very good. Now, yeah, you can always go to excellent, but it is an amazing improvement. What I also really like about it, like, you can see that the team grew, right, from 6 to 9, but they learned that they need, like, we're far away, committing like to 90 story points more or less. This is where we can feel comfortable. And having this culture in the organization to kind of understand that it's not about like increasing the commitment. It's about like finding this balance point where you're not under committing. Well, I've never seen almost teams that are under committing. It's always, the business always pushes you to do more and more and more. I always see the teams over committing and stretching and doing more. So this maturity level is really cool. What's your best advice that you can give?
Use the data. The data doesn't lie. Really, everything affects everything. As you said, that the cycle time, so it is affected by the size of the stories. So everything is connected. Look at it. It's probably not a glitch. Something happened.
When you see a problem in the data, it's no, there's a glitch in the data. But usually you're saying, like, after you get like you build like trust relationship with the data, you're saying when something is wrong, something is wrong.
The data isn't wrong.
Yeah.